they're different? How is ego and being conceited the same or different?
I
Miss
think it's
Nikki,
one.
would you like to share it with me? Go ahead. Now, let me say this to you all. It's a rainstorm here. We're in a tornado watch in my beautiful city of Hinesville. So my internet keeps going in and out. So if I become robotic or if you don't hear me anymore, I did not leave willingly. It happened. It's the act of nature. So with that being said, Dr. Feelgood, you know what to do if that should happen. So Dr. Feelgood, on you. You got your hand raised.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. There is a difference between ego and conceit, and it mainly deals with the direction. Ego is a form, sometimes overweening, but a form of confidence, knowing that you're able to do something, and usually you back it up, because we don't say if it's worse than that. Conceit is more like megalomania, like I am the man/woman, and can't nobody beat me, even though there hasn't been demonstrated competence. For example, the last guy in office, he said he was the smartest guy. He was a pretty smart guy. Was that conceit or was that ego? That was megalomania. A lot of times we don't look at it like that, but in respect, conceitedness comes closer to narcissism, because you have an overinflated sense of self. You can have a healthy ego because it's part of the three parts of Freud's definition of self, and id, the superego, and the ego. So you have, there's healthy, ego is healthy at times, can be healthy, but conceit, there's no positive outward giving of conceit. That's the biggest difference.
Okay, well, with that being said, I am having difficulties at this time, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Seductive, and I'll come back on after Chocolate Pearl. Okay? So take it over, Dr. Seductive.
Hey, so we're just gonna pick up where
Can you
Dr.
hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You can hear me? Okay, I'm gonna log off and try to come on another platform. Okay?
Okay. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and finish up with Dr. Fab's question. So, do you think there's a difference between an ego and being conceited? Anson, I think you were saying something. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, I feel like they one the same. Because ego would be up to someone's perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so someone can perceive.
The definition of ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance.
Correct.
So therefore, I feel like it's one the same, because you can be confident, and it can be perceived as being the ego.
True.
Like I feel like it's all about one's perception. So that's why I feel like it's one the same. Because if I feel like I'm confident, you might feel like I have an ego.
Okay. What do you say about that, Dr. Feelgood? You said that was a little bit different in your eyes, or in your.
Well, what I did was I put the difference in the chat box. Whereas, like I said, no, Anson has a point.
Mm-hmm.
Anson has a point. They're very similar, but they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And an example of that would be honesty versus transparency.
Mm.
There's a lot of coverage of the same.
My favorite.
But it's not. They're different. They're different aspects.
Mm.
Because like you said, if you're extremely confident, you can have an ego, but a lot of times with those people, they can back it up.
Right.
Whereas conceit, just think of conceit as vanity. Someone being vain. You're young enough, Anthony. You remember the Smurfs. Now, what was one of the Smurfs' name? With the flower, he had the flower in his hat, and always had a mirror.
I can't remember his name.
Vanity Smurf.
Vanity Smurf.
Vanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vanity Smurf.
I learned something today because I never knew his name.
It's drilled in our heads because our grandmother watched the Smurfs on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely. But the thing is that there's a difference between confidence. Papa Smurf had confidence.
Mm-hmm.
He had an ego because he knew he could lead. Whereas Vanity or even Brainy overestimated their value. And it rubbed people the wrong way. You see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
You see the difference that, nobody could really question Papa Smurf because he had the most wisdom, and he did get advice, but he always, he knew he was the wisest person in the village.
Okay.
So
whereas Brainy,
ego, and what point do they mesh together? It's all about someone's perception.
Well, when you ego and confidence cross ego and conceit cross over when you're doing things that you obviously either can't do or you're unable to do, and you have a high self-evaluation and nobody else believes that. I give you the last guy in the president's office. He said he was smart. Do you believe he was smart?
In certain ways, I think so, but it depends on how you look at it.
Okay, and
interesting.
You're right. He is smart in knowing how to self-promote. He's very good at that.
And deception. But as far as being a leader and someone you can actually trust, he said he was most trustworthy. He said he was not he said he didn't have a racist bone in his body. All right,
see?
my black person.
He didn't say A. He said the whole body, maybe.
Yeah. So that's the idea of conceit. When somebody says something, it's not true, but you can't tell them that.
So I once had a guy tell me, because I said, "Oh God, you're so conceited." He said, "No, I'm not conceited. I'm convinced." And I was like, "How conceited of you?" But he had a pretty big ego, so he thought very highly of himself. So I guess maybe if we had to put it another way, we'd say that being conceited is having an ego larger than it actually is, or you think your ego is
what you can produce.
Yeah.
You basically selling wolf tickets, or your mouth might write a check that your gluteus maximus may be incapable of redeeming.
Okay. Good. Chocolate Pearl, what do you think about that?
Well, because I wasn't a person who had a big ego until recently. I guess I agree with Dr. Feelgood. I don't know. I've never grew up with an ego. Just after I turned, I want to say 50, and I'm only 53, I've developed an ego because I developed confidence in myself. And, I didn't always think that I was a beautiful woman. I didn't always think that I was a smart person. I didn't, always think that, even though I was a hustler, even though I was very smart in a lot of things, it's just I didn't have that ego growing up. I was always thought that I settled for a lot of stuff. And because I didn't have that ego to say, oh no, I'm better than this, or I deserve better than that. Now I do, so I really don't have a big perception of this question, because I never experienced it until recently.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think I can relate to that on so many levels, not thinking that, a lot of times as African American women, and this is just in general, this doesn't apply to everyone, we're doers. So we just keep doing and doing, and we don't really think of the self-promotion or promoting our own selves and thinking that we're beautiful or smart, and not necessarily that no one's told you that. It's just that we're so busy doing for others that we don't really think about ourselves a lot. That's very
Exactly.
interesting. I really like that you brought that point. I like that a lot. Nikki, you're kind of quiet as always, but I want you to talk a little bit tonight. And Dawn, you're coming up next, babe. So go ahead, Nikki. Tell me, what do you think about ego versus conceit?
Well, I think ego mostly is about, like everyone's been talking about, a person's confidence. Because when I'm dating someone, I want them to be a confident person. I don't want them to come in as showing weakness or not assure themselves. But having a healthy ego sometimes can hurt because they think that they are all that and then some, and that type of attitude just loses me every time.
So moving over to the conceit, you think can be unhealthy. Okay,
Yes,
I tend to agree with that.
Most definitely.
Okay, but a healthy ego is okay as long as it's not too healthy of an ego,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Overbearing. Exactly.
Okay, I got it. Interesting. Yeah. Very good, though. Very good. Dawn, how's it going down there? How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Well, as I would think that an ego is more, I think I would have to agree with my cousin. An ego is more confident. Something that you can back up, even though you don't necessarily verbally are needing to do that. Whereas conceit is more boastful.
I like the way
who is conceited. They want people to see what they are capable, what they perceive they are capable of being, of doing. Whereas your ego kind of shines through without you having to be boastful.
I like
Very
that.
good.
I like
that too. I like that you brought in boastful. That kind of solidified the difference for me when you use that word. Danny, how's it going?
It's good. Everything's good. How are you? How's everybody tonight?
Well, I'm good. So far, everybody seems to be good. So, Danny, do you have a big ego?
I have a very big ego. Very big.
Okay. Tell us about that.
It's just big, very big. Big. It's real big.
So are you conceited, convinced? What is it?
Conceited. No, I'm not conceited.
Okay.
Convinced? Convinced about what?
That you're the proverbial ish.
No.
Okay.
I know I am, but I'm like, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody to stamp that. But
Well, have you always felt you had an ego? And
No.
that ego's a part of you being conceited?
no, my ego came from just saying fuck it.
Oh.
Yeah, fuck it.
That's
okay.
But
And
when did
being a
that
fat-
develop?
From being,
when did
that developed in, I was about 14,
Okay.
15.
What-
Growing up, the caterpillar to the butterfly. That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think happened. And then I said,
So
fuck
yours
it.
is similar to mine, but mine was later in life.
Yeah, you old caterpillar. To get the
I stayed in the
time.
cocoon a little too long.
Stayed in the cocoon a little bit too long.
Stayed too long. Cuz I got a question for you. Now you said
Okay.
you had a well, you said you a late cocoon. Why? You said you felt you was ugly? No?
No.
I felt that I was yeah, I did. I thought I wasn't attractive enough. I know that my dad always said I was a beautiful person, but when you have your peers that tell you you're ugly, or you know, they always said I had a flat face, or
You know what it is?
nappy hair and all that. And I, as a child, I took that in, and so for long periods of time, I felt that in order for me to be attractive, I had to dress a certain way. I had to present myself in a certain way. So my confidence level was not necessarily there as my facial appearance or even my body type. Only thing I thought I had going for me was my backside. And so I dressed myself to make myself look attractive. But now, as an adult, after I came out of that cocoon, and it might not have been 50, it might have been maybe 45, I realized I don't need to do all that to feel beautiful, because I felt I'm starting to feel beautiful inside of me as well as outside.
Let me point something out to you, right? So I think you was born too early, right? Because you got the black Chinese mocha Foxy Brown look, right? Right?
I do think that I did the Benjamin Button thing. I do think that
Well, look. See, now look. Now Foxy Brown was popular. Now she not. It's like a trend with people. They say what's in, what's not in. Now big girls is in. Like Lizzo is in. Everybody like big girls now. I hate society. Do what you want. I hate it.
And Brazilian butt lives, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man, listen.
I'm not getting you started on that. On that.
Listen, she don't even watch this show. I could do this. So I have a friend that she's in DR right now. She did that, and I told her, do not do it. She is beautiful. I told her, do not do it. She sent me pictures. Oh my God, no. Now, I tell you one thing, the doctor did give her a nice ass. I ain't gonna lie. But what she told me though, she said, Danny, you told me don't do it. I should have listened to you. Like, I don't even care what the results look like. It looked like she's light skinned. It looked like somebody beat her entire body, black, blue, purple, green.
Well,
she got
that's the
big black eyes. And I'm like, all that to feel beautiful. Like, you was beautiful. She was like, I would, if I could do it all over again, I would never do it again.
You was a friend. She wasn't, you could tell her she was beautiful all day, but the people she wanted to tell her wasn't telling her that.
Right.
I think that's what happened with little Kim. I think too many people that she was attracted to didn't tell her she was pretty, even though she was very good looking. She was pretty, and
There's nothing wrong with her.
Yeah, and so a lot of times, and I agree with you, Danny. A lot of times, I'm just waiting for them so I can get a DPL, a Dominican penis lift.
Yeah. Nah, that's
bro,
not the
don't
way to
try
go.
it.
That's not the way to go.
They might accidentally cut it off. Don't do it.